Which war movies are politically motivated versus just trying to illustrate war?
So which war movies are the ones that don't actually exist? Because I'm pretty sure I have yet to watch one where I really felt, there isn't someone trying to say a little something.
Okay, but what I say about politically motivated is the movie trying to hone a message in, or is it trying to convey... You don't understand what I'm trying to ask? Like, is this movie saying war is hell, for example, or is this movie showing you what a soldier experiences in war?
And letting you come to your own conclusion.
Right. Do you understand the difference between those two? So
Yes.
Certain movies tend to be more preachy, and some are very much depicting something. So I'm going to take you through a list, and let's just say yes or no. And if we say it is politically motivated, then we'll flesh it out. Saving Private Ryan, politically motivated or not?
I would say no.
I would say no, too. I think Saving Private Ryan is trying to show you an intense battle, such as that D-Day scene, but you're also getting to know soldiers, and it's not really... It's trying to show you the experience. It's not trying to hone a message in at you. And World War II, it's a war people kind of feel was a little necessary. It's not like other wars.
And that's the thing, is they do give you, like, kind of like social, political view aspects, but they do really leave it up to you to take a stance on it.
Right. Black Hawk Down is a very Ridley... It's a very... mostly pretty authentic, as far as I know, depiction of Somalia, of when we sent special forces into Somalia. It seems like it's definitely very gory and arguably more intense than Saving Private Ryan is.
I would say it definitely brings more of a realism tone and tries not to go where some movies go with that shock and awe aspect, but more of like, this fucking sucks.
How about Full Metal Jacket?
Oh, I mean, that movie is all over the place. I personally, to some extent, I really can't wrap my head around why that movie is viewed the way it is.
It seems to do a lot of elements of war all in one movie. Like, you have that big outburst at the end of their boot camp where he just loses it and kills himself and kills the drill instructor.
And that kind of feels preachy in itself. It almost seems like...
I think Full Metal Jacket is really trying to hone in the presence of Americans in these other countries and how it can really break the human psyche. I think that boot camp scene really goes for that. And you see that again with, can't remember his name, the guy who gets assigned to the reporting division, one of the main characters, and he's very against everything, and he seems like he's the mouthpiece of the movie.
See, that movie just falls so short for me, because I mean, like, with the whole the boot camp aspect of it, I mean, in that essence, what was going on, I mean, that guy was the weak link.
Yeah.
And you know what, these other guys, it seems brutal, but when you're preparing for something like that, you know that this guy next to you could very, very well be the reason you live or die.
That's true.
You're naturally going to be harder on each other.
Right. But it's trying to show you how it's pushing someone to their limit, and I'm not saying I agree with it.
But I'm saying it very much set like that anti-bully tone that later becomes a much bigger part in the social aspect of at least our culture.
Yeah.
And then the way it ends, I mean, that was such a shitty ending.
Yeah.
I mean, they basically go, okay, we spent this whole movie in a slightly humorous boot camp that then ends very abruptly and obscurely, and then we're going to go... We're in combat, one battle scene, everyone's now shooken up, and we just walk off into the sunset. Like, what the fuck? Like, you've got this build-up that almost makes you think...
What the fuck?
I mean, you're the first 45 minutes of the movie, you're like, is this like a kind of a comedy? This is funny, steers and queers, skull fucking, this is awesome. And then it gets very dark, and you're like, okay, well that sucks, because I like that old bastard. And then you get into the conflict, and it's just confusing, and then dark, and then it's just like, oh yeah, by the way, movie's over, bye. Thanks for your $7.
How about Platoon?
Oh, come on. That is very political.
Yeah, it is.
That movie epitomizes the anti-soldier movement that happens towards the end of that war. And how that movie is even popular is kind of astounding, where especially when it came out, that's the beginning of that backlash of society really looking at itself.
Platoon did, I think, indicate a new direction in the way we were perceiving more movies for at least a while.
Yeah.
Platoon was big for that. What about Patton? Let's go back even further.
That is a fucking great pull. For people who have not taken the time to see something as old as Patton, it is a little bit of a gem. It's a little dry at times, but it's overall.
I think Patton goes for that authenticity. I think it's trying to show you a historical account of war.
And I think it does. I think George C. Scott, who is one of my favorite old-time actors, does a great job, phenomenal job of capturing the biopic, which is something we have regularly talked about. Is incredibly fucking difficult.
Apocalypse Now.
Fucking preachy as fuck.
Very preachy.
We
don't even need to go deep into that one.
If Platoon had a butt buddy, Apocalypse Now would be it.
Here's an interesting one. Braveheart. I think Braveheart is technically political, but because it is set so long ago in countries that don't exist in the same way, we don't see it as political. But it is. It's about Scotland trying to get its independence from an empire. And quite honestly, it doesn't get more political than that, but because of the time period, it gets very kind of pushed.
I think because of the time period, especially when it comes to the medieval time frame and the Dark Ages, because that's so much woven into things like Lord of the Rings and Game of Thrones, it almost takes on like a whimsical kind of atmosphere in the sense of its setting.
As you said in a previous video, recency is big on the way we perceive movies. And this is a reverse example of how this is so far based, no one even sees it as political, but it really is.
It is.
Absolutely.
Because it is a very defiant view of tyranny.
It's rebellion. It is straight up rebellion. The Thin Red Line. It's got some scenes. It has characters that are against the war. It starts off, right, with characters who are against it. But I would say ultimately it's going a similar direction as Saving Private Ryan, where it's showing you how one experiences war. I don't think it's really trying to hone in on a message.
Yeah, I would say it's more of a depiction only in the extent of like world development, so that way you can capture the scope.
The Hurt Locker.
So that one I could see kind of going either way.
Well, here's the thing. The Hurt Locker opens with a quote that says something along the lines of war is an addiction. And it's all about how Jeremy Renner's character loves what he does. He loves defusing those bombs. Is that political or is that about the character? We'll leave up to you. But I don't think it's anti-war, but I think it is painting a very important picture about how a soldier comes to see their profession.
It's tough because I see exactly what you're saying. I do feel like at moments it almost tries to paint his character's struggles as a knock against what it does to society, but at other points I do feel like it is an earnest showing, just trying to be expressive of what's happening.
Okay. I think that one's interesting. And lastly, American Sniper, one of the most recent ones.
I wouldn't say... I feel like that is political, but not in the same sense as what we're used to. Not the way we've been talking where like Platoon or Apocalypse Now, where it takes a very harsh stance. I almost feel like that... It's almost like a propaganda film. I mean, it's a true story, but the way
a lot of people called it propaganda when it came out. It's all about PTSD to me. There are many, many scenes.
Well, you are hypersensitive to the topic at hand because obviously.
It was pretty clear that it was PTSD.
It is. But what I'm saying is there's still other elements to the movie because it's his struggle with PTSD. It's him overcoming the PTSD.
Right.
It's everything he's done before and the significance
But the
of
movie
it.
ends with him being killed by another soldier who had PTSD.
Which is irony.
So it's very much harping on PTSD as a theme.
It is.
So I don't know if that's political, but it's definitely trying to raise your awareness of PTSD. So despite all of the cool sniping killings that everyone talks about, how it's American propaganda, it's doing a lot to depict PTSD and how it affects people and ultimately gets the main character killed.
I mean, you make valid points, and I hate that.
And I hate that.
Really hate
and
that.
I hate that.
I hate that because we really don't plan this out. So when he makes a valid point, it does actually legitimately knock me off guard. I don't make valid points, so you don't really see him get flustered. But in the few times I do, he usually agrees. But those are few and far between. With that being said, I mean, a lot of it does feel propagandy, but I don't even know if that's a word. What I see, I do acknowledge that. I mean, it does dive deep into the PTSD, and it does do a good job of depicting it. But I mean, parts of it, it just didn't sit right.
No,
like,
and
I can't
can see
fully
that.
explain it.
That. No, I get what, the tone of it, and a lot of people agree. The tone of it is off. Something's off. But ultimately, so I'm actually very interested in feedback for this video because we purposely didn't script this. I simply looked up the top rated war movies and we came into this and I did my best not to even think about whether they were political.
I'm pretty sure with as much of an ass as I make out of myself on a regular basis, they know we don't script this because nobody would read that script and be like, fuck it, yeah, looks good.
I think it's more interesting to do it organically.
I do too.
So let us know if you agree with what movies are political.